Hi everybody, it is Raphael back with Ohio Tropics here. I know it's been a very long time since I've done a video, but I wanted to follow up with an older video that I had where I chopped up some plants and water propagated two plants. One, this Monstera adansonii, or the Swiss cheese. I don't like common names, but some people call it Swiss cheese plant or Swiss cheese vine. And then the other one is this pothos, type of pothos, Cebu Blue, which has gorgeous kind of grayish bluish leaves. So I've been procrastinating a little bit. I propagated these in the middle of the winter, and I put both of them in this same glass vase, and they've been ready to be potted up for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and consolidate some plants. So I have two of the Cebu Blue in small pots, and then I'm going to use the cuttings that I made. I'm going to put them all in one pot. And if you remember from the old video, this is a method that you can do to make your plant fuller. If you only have one or two strands in your pot, you're going to be waiting forever to get, for the plant to grow into a huge bush. So that's one way. I am going to consolidate two plants, and I am going to now kind of separate these. I have two different plants in here. I waited a little bit too long, so let's see if I can go ahead and separate these out. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I got lazy, and that's sometimes what happens. So I'm just gonna gently try and detangle these roots. Oh, here I got one. Little Monstera, baby Monstera with a big long root. And let's see. Wow, this one didn't even root, and it's growing. So I'm gonna put it in there anyway in the pot. And here's the Cebu Blue. This is kind of fun. It's kind of like a puzzle. I'm gonna have to fast forward some of this so you guys aren't bored watching me separate these. Ooh, this one didn't take at all. And you know what? Not all the cuttings will take. So when you make cuttings, make sure you do multiple ones, because not every single one may take. Most of them should, but that's just a good rule of thumb. Another Monstera. Look at that big long root. So I have all these cuttings that I made of the pothos, or the Cebu Blue pothos. It's the same genus. The regular pothos that you see everywhere, that you see absolutely everywhere, is the Epipremnum is the name of the genus, and this is also an Epipremnum. It's just a different variety of pothos. So I have all these rooted cuttings that I'm going to plant back inside the same pot, and I also have two. This is kind of a huge one. This is a beautiful one, actually, that I got from Steve's Leaves. Wonderful plant vendor down in Texas. Absolutely healthy, beautiful plants. And here's another one. Okay, so I'm gonna put all these in one pot. All right, so how am I gonna do this? First, you need to take your plants out of the pot, right? So I like to use a knife and kind of just go around a little bit, around the perimeter of the pot, okay? All right. Then I'm gonna kind of turn it upside down. There we go, it all came out. Okay, so it's not horribly pot bound. There's just a little bit of the roots circling at the bottom. Okay, so here's one. I'm gonna let these hang here like this for a bit. All right, there's one. And I have this other one. You can see the roots are coming out of the base here. So this one might be a little bit easier. This is in a plastic pot. So, ooh, kind of crunchy. I'm just gonna squeeze outside of the pot to loosen it up and see if it comes out. Okay, it's a little tight, so I am going to pass the knife around a little bit. Just around the perimeter, okay? You don't want to go too crazy. Kind of squeeze that, there we go, kind of pried it out. This one is pretty root bound here. Let me see if I could bring it up to the, oh, whoa, see how root bound that is? So what you want to do when you have a root bound plant like this, you need to loosen the root ball, right? Because if you plant this in your new pot, just, you know, as is, and it's pot bound enough, it may stay that way. And you'd be surprised. I actually had a peace lily that I did years and years and years ago, before I knew any better. And eventually started to decline. It kind of looked bad. So I said, what the heck, I'm gonna repot it. So when I took it out of the pot, it was still contained in its original root ball. None of the roots had grown into the new soil and in the new pot. So you need to loosen your root ball. Don't be afraid. Just take your hands, grab the bottom. You might hear a few crunches. That's fine. Don't be worried, okay? Loosen it up a little bit. You don't have to go too crazy. And then I like to go around the edges as well. Loosen it up, okay? And just kind of loosen it up like that, okay? That'll go a long way in the health of your plant. Okay, so this is getting a little messy here. All right, I'm gonna put it in this clay pot. So I'm gonna combine all these, and I'm gonna do the Monstera next. So working with clay pots, okay? So when you have a brand new clay pot, it's a very good practice to make sure that you soak your clay pot, okay, overnight. Or it doesn't have to be overnight, at least an hour, you know, half an hour, an hour. This one I've had outside actually for overnight, and it was raining, so it did exactly what I needed it to do. I didn't have to go ahead and soak it. And the reason you want to do this is because the clay pots are super dry. And if you don't do it, it'll wick even more moisture out of the soil, and they already dry out pretty quickly. So you want to make sure to precondition them and soak them. I'm going to take a broken piece of a clay pot here and put it over the drainage hole. Okay, right over the drainage hole. You want it positioned that way with the curvy side down. Okay, right over the hole so the water goes out, keeps the soil in. Okay, and now I'm going to start putting I'm going to take this leftover soil here, and I just used my, a potting mix that I had on hand, and what I did was I mixed some orchid bark, okay? Some orchid bark chunks into this soil, okay? I rarely use potting mixes as is anymore because you want to incorporate some kind of larger particle inside of your soil mix, okay? And the reason is because it'll give the roots more aeration, more oxygen, and it'll also provide really good drainage. So you want to make sure that you do that. You can add perlite, you can add chunks of orchid bark. You'd be shocked at how well your plants will do if you add something, a larger particle into your soil, okay? Kind of got crazy. Okay, so I'm going to position this in here. Here's my other one. Okay, I'm going to loosen the root ball on this one as well. Don't be afraid, people, okay? You'll be very happy with the results. If you don't do it, you might be disappointed, okay? I'm gonna put more here. It's getting a little messy, but that's all right. Make sure that you go ahead and put in some extra soil here in between. Make sure you press the soil down a little bit. You don't want any air pockets. You want the roots to have good contact with your potting mix, okay? All right, then I have all my cuttings here, okay? All right, I'm just gonna take all of these, put them right in. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna have a nice full plant here. All right. I'm gonna keep adding a little bit more, gently firm it down. So I actually combined two plants that I had in two 4-inch pots. I get sick of all the little pots everywhere. So I needed to consolidate, and it'll be much easier to take care of and water. I don't do 4-inch pots anymore. I just can't do them anymore. Unless that's how I get them, and then you know, I have to transplant them. So here we go. Okay, so we have my cuttings and 2 more plants. Voila! Here's a nice, beautiful Cebu Blue. I'm going to hang this in my sunroom. Okay, and this will turn into a huge monster. Okay.